Welcome to Agri Economics, an extension by Anukriti. So I'm starting with market structure unit. So in this particular unit, I will start with market structure with perfect competition. Then slowly we'll move on to monopoly and all. So this particular video is on the topic market structure. What is total revenue? What is average revenue and marginal revenue? And then perfect competition, like what is perfect competition, what are the characteristics, how to find the demand curve, how to find the equilibrium conditions, long run, short run, then supply curve, etc. So let's begin. So first of all, what is market structure? So market structure is how an industry is organized based on factors like competition, entry barriers and pricing. So it is very important to know the difference between what is a firm and what is an industry. So firm is any one entrepreneurship unit. Okay, so suppose there is one retail shop, there is another retail shop, so these are firms, so they are involved in selling or producing goods and services. And industry is what, when these interrelated firms whose prices and behaviors are affected by other firms, so these firms when organized together, they make an industry. Suppose we can say that a sabzi mandi, take it as an industry, and the vegetable vendors are your firm. So I hope you can understand the difference between what is a firm and what is an industry. So industry involves many firm. Okay, so market structure is tells us about what, how an industry is organized on factors like competition means how the competition is between the firms, then is there any entry and exit barriers of firms, and how pricing is controlled. So it also helps us to understand why we study it. We study it to understand the behavior and performance of a firm and outcomes for consumer and society. Okay, so this is very important. On the basis of number of buyers and sellers, competition and product differentiation, market has been classified into broadly two types. So it's imperfect competition and it's perfect competition. So always remember the basis is number of buyers, seller, competition, product differentiation. Okay, so imperfect competition have been further classified broadly into monopoly, then monopolistic and oligopoly. Now let's look at this further. Market structure, as we talked about, perfect, imperfect, then we have monopoly, monopolistic and oligopoly. Now oligopoly has been further classified into differentiated oligopoly and pure oligopoly. So let's see basic features that differentiate them. So perfect competition, there are many sellers and buyers. This is very important, many sellers and buyer, and the product is homogeneous. So whichever market, we can take an example of sabzi mandi. Like in sabzi mandi, every village, every vegetable vendor is selling same potatoes, same tomatoes. Product is similar, so it's homogeneous product, and there are many sellers and there are many buyers. Okay, so as we know that every vegetable vendor, suppose the price in the industry is fixed. Suppose a potato will be sold at price say 10 rupees, so every vegetable vendor will sell at same price. So a firm has no control over the prices, right? It can only control the level amount of output. Okay, so example is farm commodities. Then imperfect competition, in imperfect competition we can say the difference is that, main difference is that a firm has some control over the prices. So accordingly, that is oligopoly. In oligopoly there are few sellers. This is important, few sellers, and a firm can have some control over the prices. So there are two kinds based on the product. So if product are same, like homogeneous products, example steel and chemical industry, so there are few steel and chemical industry only. There are not many sellers of steel and chemical industry. We find very few sellers and they sell the same homogeneous product. Now differentiated oligopoly, we have, as the name suggests, the products are differentiated. For example, automobile and computers industry. So for example, say you can take an example of HP, then Dell. So they sell their computers with some different kind of product orientation, right? So there is difference between the product design and etc. So now another is monopolistic. Monopolistic have many sellers, so do keep this in mind. In oligopoly, differentiated oligopoly, we have few sellers. Like there are not many sellers of automobiles and computers, there are few sellers. While in monopolistic there are many sellers. Many sellers means, like for example, suppose take a shampoo brand or any soap brand, detergent brand, so there are many sellers. Hence the example in monopolistic is what? Retail trade. Any retail item that we buy is an example of monopolistic firm, monopolistic market. Then monopoly is what? Monopoly, as we know the term, that it has only one seller and the product they sell has no substitutes, and they have some control over the prices. So there is also important factor is that a monopoly can either control price or output. So a perfect example of monopoly is your railways, airlines, then electricity. As we know in our country, government is the seller of electricity. Then railways is run by IRCTC. So these are example of monopoly though. So there is no close substitute and they have complete control over the price or output. Okay, now let's try to understand the concept of total revenue, average revenue, and what is marginal revenue. So total revenue is what? Total revenue is the total income received by a seller for selling a given amount of product. So this is total revenue. Average revenue is the revenue earned per unit output. So by definition it is total revenue by quantity. Then marginal revenue is what? Marginal revenue is the net additional income made by selling an additional unit of commodity. We can say that it is simply change of total revenue by change in quantity. Now what is profit? So profit in this we will say, as we all know, profit is what? The earning that I am gaining by selling the product and the cost that incurred. So it is total revenue minus total cost. Now suppose you are given a function of total revenue, or say revenue. So the function suppose is AQ minus BQ square whole square. So how will we find average revenue? We will find average revenue by simply dividing the function by quantity. Then it is average revenue. So in this we will get A minus B Q whole square. Now suppose we have to find marginal revenue from that revenue function. How will we find? We will differentiate it with respect to quantity. So we will get that if we differentiate AQ minus BQ whole square, then we will get what? We will get A minus 2BQ. So this is our marginal revenue function. So always know how to calculate total revenue from how to calculate average revenue from total revenue and marginal revenue. Now we will start with our first kind of market, that is perfect competition. So there are some few features in perfect competition, and do remember them. First of all, that there are large number of sellers and buyers. Now the second is demand curve of a firm in perfectly competitive market is what? It is infinitely elastic. That means that a firm has no control over the price. It can only control the output. At same level of price, it can change output. So it is infinitely what? Elastic. Okay, so firm here is price taker. There is a demand for industry, and the demand for firm is what? It is firm is a price taker, hence the demand is what? Perfectly elastic for a firm. Now homogeneous products are similar in perfect competition. Now there's free exit and entry of firm. Like any firm which wants to get into the industry can get into the industry anytime and can exit anytime. Now no government regulation means government do not have any control in perfect competition. Now there is two more features, that is perfect mobility of resources. Now suppose you are a laborer and you find other firm more profitable, then you can switch. So there is free mobility of resources. There is no restriction for that a resource will stay in this firm only. Resources can move, like laborers, capital can be moved from one firm to another firm. Perfect knowledge means what? That every seller and buyer has complete knowledge of the market, the products, where products are sold cheaper, where products, so there is perfect knowledge. Now there is another thing is, that is pure competition. Another concept, pure competition is what? Pure competition, when we take the first 5 features, then it is pure competition, and when we do not take the last 2 features, that is we exclude them, that is perfect mobility of resources and perfect knowledge. So pure competition is having all the features of pure perfect competition except the last 2. Now our next topic is demand curve in a perfect competition. So as we have discussed that we have different demand curve for industry and firm. So we should know the difference between how a demand curve for industry looks like and how for a firm. So this is your industry, this is your firm. For industry, the demand curve is downward sloping and supply curve is upward sloping normally. So where the demand curve and supply curve intersect, it gives us what? It gives us equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. So this equilibrium price, as we talked earlier, discussed this, that firm have no control over the prices. So this price is set for the firm. So this becomes our demand curve for the firm. Demand curve is what? The equilibrium price that has been set by the industry is the price for the firm, and it also becomes the demand curve for the firm. Now suppose demand in an industry has increased, so what will happen? The equilibrium price has increased, hence the demand curve for the firm also increase. So for the firm, the demand curve is horizontal, which represents what? Perfectly elastic condition. Now we can see there is also important thing that we need to know for perfect competition. Now suppose here is a table for the revenue, marginal revenue and average revenue of a firm. Suppose a firm sells at one output at 40 rupees. So the total revenue is 40. For now the two units of output has been sold at 80 rupees. Since the price of one is 40, the price of two will be 80. Similarly 30 for 3 it is 120. Now we know how to calculate marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is what? Change in total revenue by change in total output. So it is 80 minus 40 by 2 minus 1, it comes 40. Similarly, average revenue is what? It is total revenue by the output. TR by Q, it is 40. So if we will find marginal revenue and average revenue from the output, total output and total revenue, we will find that marginal revenue and average revenue is same in case of perfect competition for the firms. So hence we get to a conclusion, that is marginal revenue is equal to average revenue. And price, as we know, as we have seen, that price of one unit of output is how much? 40, and which is equal to marginal revenue and average revenue. Hence marginal revenue is equal to average revenue is equal to price and demand for the firm. So this is very important. Now we can see this graphically. So the demand curve of a firm represents what? It represents the price curve, it represents marginal revenue, average revenue and the demand curve. Now our next topic is short-run equilibrium. So under this, first we will talk about the optimal output decision. So as we know, the firm is what? Firm is a price taker. Like price is set for the industry, so firm is a price taker. So to get profit, how can a firm get profit? By adjusting the optimal output level, like an output level where firm can obtain profit at the same price level. So to find the optimum level of output, we use two approaches. First is total cost approach, and the second one is marginal curve approach. Total curve approach and marginal curve approach. So we will look at both of them one by one. First is total curve approach. So in this, as we know, the total revenue is what? It is a straight line with positive slope. How can we say that? We can say that as we increase the output, the amount of revenue received increases. So it is a straight line with positive slope. It is directly related to the output sold. Now total cost is what? It is inverted straight line. I have seen the graph of total cost in cost concept section, so you can go through that video. So the total cost curve is what? It is inverted straight line, and the profit, as we know, is what? It is the difference between total revenue and total cost. And if a firm wants maximum profit, so the difference between total revenue and total cost should be the maximum. So we can find this graphically. On x-axis we have what? We have output. On y-axis we have cost. This is our total revenue, which is a straight line with positive slope. So our total cost is what? It is inverted straight line. So where the difference between total cost and total revenue is maximum is our profit, maximum profit area, and that will be our optimum output. So if we'll find the difference, it is maximum in this portion. Now there's also a difference in this portion, but why we have not taken this as our profit maximization condition? Because here we will see that total cost is greater than total revenue. Then how can it give profit? It will give the maximum loss. So 2 points should be noted. First of all, that is total revenue should be greater than total cost, and the difference between total revenue and total cost should be maximum. So there are two conditions. Okay, so this is our total cost approach. Now our second approach is marginal cost approach. So what happens in marginal cost approach? And we always consider marginal cost approach because it is more advanced to take marginal curve approach. Okay, So how does the marginal revenue curve looks like? It is a horizontal straight line parallel to x-axis, and as we have discussed that marginal revenue is equal to average revenue is equal to price. Now marginal cost is U-shaped according to traditional cost approach. So we know that marginal cost here has which kind of shape? It has U-shaped. Now optimum condition for output has two requirements. First, we look for a point where marginal revenue has slope less than marginal cost. So marginal cost should have more slope. And the second condition is the equality of marginal cost and marginal revenue. So a point where the slope of marginal cost is greater than marginal revenue and also there is equality, so that point will be our optimum condition, and that will give our optimum output level. So in graph we can look this thing like on x-axis we have output, on y-axis we have cost. This is a marginal revenue curve which is also equal to price, and this is a total cost, marginal cost, which is U-shaped. So here we can see there are 2 points of equality, but we will take where the slope of marginal cost is greater than marginal revenue, and so we will find that this point satisfies both the conditions. So this is our optimum output condition point, and hence the output Q is our optimum output. I hope you understood both the concept, that is total curve approach and marginal curve approach. In the next video we will talk about short-run equilibrium conditions. Then we will talk about normal profit, supernormal profit and loss in short-run condition. Then we will discuss long-run condition, and hence we will try to cover the complete perfect competition. Thank you for watching the video till the end. Do like, comment, share and also subscribe to the channel. Okay, so see you in the next video.